On today's World Insight, accelerating the green and low-carbon energy transition. Amid efforts to achieve its carbon peak and carbon neutrality goals, China is ready to work with other countries in addressing climate change. What might be the opportunities of cooperation? We bring you insights from ambassadors at the International Forum for Energy Transition. Joining us, we have Ali Al-Daheri, the Emirati ambassador to China, Maria Gustava, the Mozambican ambassador to China, Bruni Garabito, the Dominican Republic ambassador to China, Moin ul Haq, the Pakistani ambassador to China, Thomas Ustrup Mahler, the Danish ambassador to China, Siabonga Sisawele, South African ambassador to China, Aldonov F. Alvarez, Salvadoran ambassador to China, Assem Hanafi, the Egyptian ambassador to China, and Paulo Jorge Nascimento, Portuguese ambassador to China.
We are here to share our country's experiences, our strategies, and also to clarify what might be the opportunities of cooperation. I start with you, Mr. Ambassador from UAE. Good to see you again, sir. Next year, think about it. Your country is going to host the COP28. Where is the Egyptian ambassador? Oh, there we go. COP27, congratulations. So what are some of the specific plans your country might have, and also opportunities of cooperation that you would like to share with our international community on this forum?
Nobody can disagree that climate issue is a global concern. This is indeed. And of course that and climate action should be an urgent priority that the whole international community should be in charge in taking their part. Now, let me take a quote from our president, Sheikh Mohammed, was attending the COP27, and I will quote over here: "The dangers of a climate change affect everyone without exception, and the future of our children and grandchildren depends on the measures we take today." End quote. So this is the message of the UAE, and obviously this is that the whole international community should take their part in taking this matter quite very serious to ensure descendants having a greener and a brighter future. Now, talking about the UAE, of course, UAE among the first nations in Middle East and North Africa to sign in 2015 Paris Agreement. We are the first. Remember this, UAE is a hydrocarbon or fossil fuel capital, okay? Having a country where look at the issues of environment, carbon capture as a part of is a top agenda, that's something very unique. And this is what makes UAE very special. And now there's no wonder that ARENA headquartered in the UAE, because UAE has shown leadership in terms of addressing environment and climate change.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. I am very impressed by the examples you give about your country. And you said very clearly, it's not about just business. It's about energy security for the future. Thank you so much, and also your country for contributing to the 2050 target as well. Thank you so much. Now let me go to my sister. Good to see you, Madam Ambassador, the women ambassador shining on the stage I see today from Mozambique. Of course, your country has been increasing your capacity of energy generating for quite some time, and you are shining also in where you are, mainly the Southern African region. Tell me more about how you are trying to achieve that through international cooperation. What are some of the specific steps your country, Mozambique, is taking right now?
Currently, we are producing and supplying hydro energy for our domestic consumption, but also to supply our neighboring countries, some of the neighboring countries. And also, in terms of natural gas, is for the neighboring country and for the international market as a large. So Mozambique is really committed to grow its capacity to produce the energy. But as a developing country, as Mozambique, we really need to work together with our neighboring country. We need to work together with all the international community to attain our targets. Why we need it? Because we have to adapt to the new solutions in terms of technology and innovations that is over there. We need to build the synergy. We need to build the partnership, even to look for the business opportunity. Not only that, we need to go through the best practice that have been done by the others and to see what is experience that are there. And we need also to enhance our technical capacity. So for doing that, we need to work not in isolation. And also Mozambique has been one of those countries that have been suffering from the climate change. So we know what it's all about to implement the project that goes according to the requirements.
Let me move on to the next ambassador from the Dominican Republic. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Your country, once again, rich in renewable resources, I have to say. And there are a lot of quote-unquote treasures we need to discover as well. So tell us more about that, but even more importantly, how is your country building a good investment environment so that international businesses can work with your country to develop the best renewable resources, both for you and beyond? Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you.
The Dominican Republic has gone to great lengths to guarantee supply of clean energy required to sustain our continuous growth. Our position as a main FDI recipient in the region and a trustworthy, secure destination for investors from over 55 countries. We have enacted 2 energy transition-related laws and regulations. So we assume the responsibility of contributing to global efforts spearheaded by global powers like China by striving to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 and thus preventing global temperatures from rising above the catastrophic 1.5 degrees Celsius. 16% of electricity produced in our country comes from renewable resources, complemented by over 38% generated by natural gas-powered plants. So we have also developed many supporting policies which can help us create jobs, which is crucial for the recovery of our economy. And now we have seen significant development of renewables and significant development of natural gas as well.
Let me go to another developing country, Pakistan. Mr. Ambassador, good to see you again here. Once again, welcome back to the Energy Forum. I want you to help us understand, how is Pakistan as a developing country in the region, in Asia, looking at this great transition that we see from fossil fuel to renewable? And at this point, what are you doing?
I think there is one challenge which is overwhelming, which is like a catalyst, or I would say a driver to these challenges, is climate change. And all of us now are facing this huge challenge to our societies, to our economies, and to our people. And in Pakistan, which is now the 4th largest developing country in the world, we are facing similar challenges. In recent times, in the last decade, my country went through a severe energy crisis. There were, in 24 hours, we faced 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours power shortages. But thanks to our partnership with China under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, where we were able to set up many energy projects in Pakistan, from hydro to coal to solar and wind, we were able to meet this crisis, energy crisis. And now the focus is on transition to clean energy. And as you must have heard, our Minister for Energy, he was speaking a while ago, he gave some of the initiatives that the government has taken. One of this is very important, is the solar initiative, under which we would like to invest and bring online 10,000 megawatt of solar energy in Pakistan. And for that, of course, we are inviting our international partners, especially companies from China, to come and invest in the solar energy. Another point which, of course, Ambassador Ali also mentioned is civil nuclear energy. And Pakistan is also moving towards that. We already have a number of civil nuclear power projects, thanks to our partnership with China. Currently, we have around 2,000 megawatt of nuclear energy. And in the next medium to long-term plan, we want to almost 4 times increase the power generation of nuclear. So it's a clean energy. And of course, there are many solar and wind power projects and big hydro dams. I think 10,000 megawatts of hydro dams are being built currently in Pakistan.
Let me go to another one on the stage. The Ambassador of Denmark, I see you often when we talk about energy, renewable, and also sustainable development. Certainly your country, sir, is a great example. I have a latest number according to IEA, International Energy Agency rather. The per capita emissions in Denmark has decreased more than 35%, to be exact, 36%. Last year, 2021, compared to 2005, if I remember right. That's really something.
We actually have some experience in turning energy crisis into opportunity, because when we had the oil crisis back in 1973, it actually became a catalyst for our green transformation. And if you go back to 73, Denmark was dependent by 99% from imported oil. So you can of course imagine that an oil crisis with skyrocketing prices caused a severe economic headwind in the Danish economy. And in response to this, the Danish government launched an active energy policy to secure security of supply and reduce the dependency on imports. And from then on, we began to improving energy efficiency in buildings, developing renewables, and making the entire energy system more efficient and sustainable. And a very important element in this was, and I would say still is, that not to subsidize energy prices, because true prices on energy are in fact instrumental in driving energy transition. And since the oil crisis in Denmark, we have in Denmark actually undergone quite a transformation. We have managed to decouple our economic growth from green gas emissions. And just some numbers here, because since 1990, the Danish economy has grown by 55%, while energy use has remained stable and emission has been reduced by 40%. So how did we manage this? Well, first of all, broad-based political agreements on energy policy have provided security for investors and enable a fairly smooth transition to a sustainable power sector. And today, wind and solar power account for more than half of our electricity, while coal supplies less than 3% of national gross energy consumption. And this, of course, has been the key driver behind the cuts in emissions in Denmark.
Next, let's go to our ambassador from South Africa. Good to see you, Mr. Ambassador, once again. So tell me more about your country. 9 billion, that's quite a lot of money being invested into the energy transition. I understand from coal to clean energy. So how is that proceeding in your country, sir? How is that creating opportunities for everybody else?
On the 4th of last month, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa released a $98 billion Just Transition Investment Plan 2023-2027. It's a 5-year. The plan helps us to achieve our commitment of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions to a level of 350 metric tons by 2030, which is consistent with the 1.5 degrees centigrade target. Of course, as you know, South Africa, we are transiting from dependency on fuel, and now we're trying to manage this and mitigate the consequences of this transition, particularly for the impacted workers, communities, small businesses, and exporter exposure to carbon trade barriers, which are looming from other countries. Of course, we are welcoming new investment and new technologies which will take us to a more sustainable economic growth and development. Last week, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed the first Green Hydrogen Investment Conference in Cape Town, calling on investors to come and partner with us because we have got a huge potential. The global demand for green hydrogen is rising with the availability of renewable energy. And the demand of green hydrogen-based products, such as green ammonia and synthetic jet fuels, is also significantly rising. So in this sector, the investments will be driven mainly to green hydrogen and green ammonia, green steel development, infrastructure development, particularly repurposing the current gray hydrogen infrastructure into green hydrogen infrastructure. So as I conclude, I'd like to invite all the interested investors and philanthropists to come and partner with us because this requires a lot of resources, and we've done a lot of research working with our international partner to come to this workable strategy. So come and invest with us. Thank you.
What you said, very impressive. It's not just about the businesses and investment. It's also about how you comprehensively see the policies. Now let me go to the ambassador of Salvador to China. Tell me more about your country's commitment. You are looking at reducing the carbon, preserving the environment, while also developing the economy. So many of us know on the stage it's going to be quite a struggle to achieve a good balance among these goals. So how are you doing it, your country, Mr. Ambassador?
It's quite interesting what I've been listening from my colleagues and the kind of highlights they are sharing with us, because we are in a very unique period of our history, as a planet, in terms of how we are approaching and how we are close to a no-return point in our environment, a dangerous line, red line. If we cross that line, probably it will be irreversible. There will be irreversible effects in the future. And for our environment, I'm talking about the whole planet. So we are dangerously getting too close to that red line to as I said, a no return point. So this kind of conscience has to be strong in all countries in the world, yes, but it has to be even more strong in the developed countries because their responsibility is higher than us, because they have contaminated the planet more than any other of the developing countries in the past. So the burden, the main burden is in developed countries, but also we, developing countries, we can contribute, and we are doing because we have the conscience to do so. I really want to congratulate China because China is the leader and leading the developing countries, which is a model for many of us, you know, because you're leading this transition too in many ways. And I have high respect for technologies that you are developing in recent years and how you are moving towards new kind of mobility, for example. In my country, we are trying to do so. For example, we are moving from energy matrix, which main source has been maybe 65% has been petroleum products, which have been using for nearly 60, 70 years. Let's be honest, two things are not really easy in this transition. First, it is expensive. It requires investment. So we are making a lot of effort to invest in that transition. But secondly, we need technology transfer. And that's a way how China could really help us, because technology transfer means that we can benefit from experience. We can benefit from researching. We can benefit from you know, some kind of wrongdoings that you maybe had to face in the past, and we can learn from that and quickly move towards a totally new energy matrix.
What you said about the common but differentiated responsibilities, that's a phrase always mentioned in previous years, not recently, but there is an urgent need for all countries to make their efforts. Developed countries, of course, and the developing countries also working for their best efforts. Thank you so much for your contributing as well. But to Egypt now, what is your takeaway really from this strenuous and yet successful result? How do you see this process has helped your country to learn about what can be achieved at this moment, Mr. Ambassador?
Of course, in achieving a balance between the developing countries' needs and their calls for implementation of pledges already agreed upon, especially on the financial side. Pledge to finance developing countries with $100 billion, and this was, of course, somehow neglected, and we have to always uphold it, and we have to also to you know, responsible countries have to have some responsibility in funding all this, and of course it has to be maintained. We are having an ambitious plan in Egypt for this transition to renewable energy, to take more of our addressing our energy bill. We are exploring we have made some very, very promising agreements on green hydrogen alongside Sharm el-Sheikh conference. We have probably the third largest solar farm in the world, in Aswan. And of course, with the help of the AIIB and some Chinese companies, amongst other stakeholders. And of course, we are keen to reduce our fossil fuel you know, contribution to the energy mix. Wind power is also playing a predominant role, especially in the Red Sea zone, where it's very blessed with quite a considerable wind power. And so this is all part of our drive towards a more cleaner climate action on the part of, and we are one of the few countries which has submitted actually an NDC, a nationally determined contribution to the COP27. Let me end with, of course, wishing China a successful steering of the COP15, which is held in Montreal at the moment, and it's on biodiversity, and biodiversity and climate change are interlinked and
Absolutely.
are so much linked together.
Last but not least, let's go to the ambassador of Portugal. Good to see you, sir, at this forum. Now, Portugal in recent years particularly has pretty much been recognized by the international community about your efforts for renewable and achieving sustainable development. What are some of the current ambitions, strategies, and hopefully near results, Mr. Ambassador?
Since the COP of 2016 in Marrakesh of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UNFCCC, that we announced our decision to achieve carbon emissions reductions, but also carbon neutrality by 2050. So this was clearly established long ago and has been the objective that we've been pursuing through a certain number of measures in Portugal. And to do so, the only solution is to be strongly committed to increase the share of renewable energies in our energetic mix. So actually, in 2021, we are already achieving 60% of the total of our energy production from those sources, renewable sources. Let me say a word on the importance of energy transition. We see energy transition mostly relevant because of 3 points. The first one is that it will allow us to take the most of the opportunities that the green economy will bring to us, namely in terms of job creation, economic development. The secondly is because it is absolutely necessary, as I said, to achieve the commitments that we have made internationally. The third one is obviously that without energy transition, we cannot respond to challenges posed by climate change or others in the world. Recently, our Prime Minister reaffirmed, in summary, that Portugal aims nothing less than to reach energy security and pave the way to become an energy exporter through its increasing green energy and transition process. That's the aim, that's the object. I hope that I've been clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador from Portugal. I'm sure everybody agree with me that you are not only ambassadors or messengers of your country, but also you are really trying to, with all concerted efforts, to build bridges so that cooperation can really happen on this very important subject on energy transition. So thank you so much, everyone. And also thank you, our organizer, for having this insights from ambassadors. Thank you.